thanks to Chicago Packing for sponsoring this video. On today's video, I am deep frying a huge brisket in a regular deep fryer. My hopes is that it's going to come out fantastic because it is a lot less work than cooking on a $5,000 smoker. And to have a true comparison, I'll be putting one against the other. Just imagine being able to enjoy a brisket in only a few minutes versus the traditional version that takes hours. In the end, we're going to be having delicious food no matter what. But hopefully along the way, we're all going to be learning something new. So let's do it. So in order to have a true comparison, the quality of beef must be the same. That way, the only differences is going to be the cooking methods. This is an Australian Wagyu brisket, and I'll be using it on the expensive smoker. Like every time you cook a brisket, the first thing you must do is to do some trimming. I've already shown many times how to trim a brisket, but there are only two things you should definitely keep in mind. Number one, don't be cheap, remove what's necessary, but at the same time, don't remove too much. You want to leave a 1/4 inch of fat on the top, and make sure when you're done trimming, most of the brisket looks nice and even. That way, it will cook properly. Because once it's done, the next important thing to do is to season it. And for that, I went with a generous amount of salt followed by freshly ground black pepper. For barbecue, I highly recommend using coarse black pepper. It helps create an incredible bark that you can't get with any other pepper. And of course, make sure to season both sides and also the edges. Because once that's done, into the offset it goes so that it can smoke for about 8 hours. Yes, it takes time. Because the next one will be cooked in minutes. First, we need a big deep fryer. And this is the basket it came with. Now this one is considered a turkey fryer, so I'm hoping that it's gonna work great. But check this out. This is the size of the brisket. Oh boy, it is a 21 pounds brisket. This is not a good idea, because if I deep fry it like this, the parts that are folded up won't even get any oil. So I had to go ahead and do some trimming. This thing is a monster. And unfortunately, Wagyu briskets, this is how they come. As you can clearly see, we have a lot of floppy bits. So I went ahead and started trimming it out. And once I was done, check it out. It's gonna be a tight fit, but it's gonna work great. Now the next step is quite important, and that will be to judge how much oil I actually need. And instead of using oil, today I'll be using Wagyu fat. I'm not gonna deep fry this brisket in canola oil. That would be insane. And on top of that, this Wagyu fat right here does not cost as much as you think. Believe me when I tell you, it is 10 times better than any oil you can buy. So here's how I like to judge how much oil I actually need. The first thing I do is I fill it up with some water. Then I throw my brisket in a vacuum pack as I don't want it to get wet. And nice and slow it goes inside. This will let me know exactly how much oil I need. And once I got my levels ready, it was time to see if this is gonna work or not. Because hear me out. A few years ago, I did an experiment quite similar to this. But instead of deep frying the whole thing, I actually confit the brisket. It was cooked nice and slow first. Then I raised the temperature to get a nice crust. And even though that one was good, there was a few issues with it. Number one, it took a long time. But maybe the worst part was the actual crust. You see, there's one thing I love about a brisket, and that would be the bark. And that one that I deep fried previously did not have any of that at all. It was just like deep fried meat. But I have a feeling that with everything I learned throughout the years, I can make this one incredible. And here's how I did it. First thing is to season it. A generous amount of salt followed by coarse black pepper. I actually went a little heavier than the previous one because you gotta remember one thing. Once this goes inside of the fryer, a lot of the seasoning will wash off. So you gotta be generous with it. Now to carefully place it in the basket so I don't lose any of the seasoning. This is now ready to be deep fried. And remember what I'm using to fry with it. Wagyu tallow. This is good stuff, and I know already the exact amount needed. The initial temperature was set to the highest, which is 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Once that was reached, I carefully placed the brisket in there. Do not just drop it, because if you do, all of the seasoning is going to go bye-bye. Little by little is the key here. Once that was done, I closed up the lid and just let the whole thing deep fry. Because as that was going, I decided to go ahead and make an awesome side dish. And this one is gonna cost you almost nothing, because I'll be using the trimmings we got from the brisket. Oh yes, I just cleaned up all of the silver skin and got nice little chunks just like this. Now everything goes into a bowl followed by some barbecue rub, a generous amount. Mix them all up and ensure that they're fully covered with it, and into the offset smoker it goes so that it can get a nice wonderful flavor of smoke. We're not done yet, because I got an aluminum foil container, threw some cream cheese in there, followed by some yellow cheddar and white cheddar, then a generous amount of heavy cream. To finish it up, some barbecue rub. Now it was was ready for the smoker. Inside it goes so that the whole thing can melt. After about 10 minutes, I opened it up and started mixing the whole thing. And remember, this is being smoked, so it's gonna have that wonderful flavor. And by this time, my brisket burn ends were also ready. So I immediately took them out, sat them down on a cutting board, and went to town and chopped the whole thing up. I want nice little bite pieces. And I mean, check this out. Nice smoke ring, and it's going to be perfect for the side dish. However, to bring some sweetness, I went ahead and threw in a generous amount of barbecue sauce. As now it was time for the bread. First thing to do is to remove as much of the crumb as possible. Then I lightly toasted in a toaster oven. Once that was done, I added a generous amount of those burnt ends we just made, followed by some mozzarella cheese, and into the oven it goes to melt. Soon as that was done, I placed some pickled onions, followed by some jalapeno slices, and that is going to be today's side dish. It's gonna be good just like this, believe me when I tell you. However, don't forget about the smoked cheese. We can use it as a dip or just drizzle a good amount on top of the bread. But this is just the side dish, because remember one thing, we still gotta take care of our traditional brisket, and it has been smoking for about 8 hours. The next step is to wrap it. First, you wanna get some parchment paper and place a generous amount of Wagyu fat on the bottom. Lay down the brisket right on top, wrap up the whole thing nice and tight, and back into the smoker it goes to finish it up. Once it's fully cooked, you wanna rest it until the following day. As in the end, you wanna unwrap it. Don't let any of that Wagyu fat go to waste, because after about 24 hours of work, you are left with an incredible brisket. This is our control. And as you can clearly see, it's going to be fantastic. But what about our deep fried brisket? Will it come even close to this one? Well, I'll tell you one thing. After 55 minutes of being deep fried, I went ahead and removed the whole thing and check it out what it looks like. It's fully cooked already, as the temperature was 200 degrees Fahrenheit. However, you can clearly see it needs to be rested. So I wrapped it just like the previous one and let it rest. Because after that, it was time to go ahead and remove the whole thing. Place any of the juices that was left behind on the paper on top, and as soon as I took my first slice, I tell you one thing, it definitely does not look as juicy as the previous brisket. But you gotta remember one thing, when you start with good quality meat, you should end up with good quality meat. I have a feeling this is going to taste really delicious. How will it stack up with a brisket that took almost 24 hours? Well, we're about to find out right now. As now I say, it is enough talking and it is time to eat, so let's do it.
Before moving forward, I want to thank today's sponsor, South Chicago Packing. Guys, I am so happy to partner up with them because I've been using their products for years. Their high-quality Wagyu tallow has been my go-to for countless of experiments. And now they are launching their Wagyu beef tallow in a new 11.5-ounce glass jar. It is the same best-selling Wagyu tallow in a much more convenient container. Just one scoop of this will add a delicious, rich, savory flavor to any of your meals. It is an easy cheat code to add explosive flavor to whatever it is that you're cooking. The crazy thing is how versatile it is. It is a great replacement for regular cooking oils. You can saute with it, sear steaks with it, you can brush it on bread like butter, or if you want to get creative like me, deep fry stuff with it. The possibilities are endless. That is one of the reasons this has become a staple for me, and it is always in my pantry. South Chicago Packing has been in business for over 100 years. They have been making quality top shortenings and cooking fats for decades. They are committed to making the best products, and it shows. And their Wagyu tallow in the new glass jar is proof of that. So if you are interested, check them out on the link on the description below. It's something I use all the time, and you should too. Thank you, South Chicago Packing, for sponsoring this video, but now let's get right back to it. All right, everybody, and here we got our beautiful feast. Gentlemen, what do you guys think, huh?
This is a lot.
This is a good day.
You want a beef? I got you beef.
I definitely see some kind of experiment going on, Guga.
100%. So we got a nice, beautiful brisket and another nice, beautiful brisket here. Obviously,
like
this one a
half a
little.
brisket.
Yeah, but then there is, because there's a lot of more the other meat over here.
Oh, okay.
We need to make a side dish, my friend. Let's give this a try. Tell me if it's good, if it's bad. I want to know your honest opinion, because when it's brisket day, it is a special day, everybody. Let's dig in. By the way, it is a Wagyu brisket, so be ready to go to heaven when you try it.
Of course it is a Wagyu brisket, man. Oh, let's go. Let's eat this thing.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh my God.
Oh my God! Wow!
That is amazing.
Even this lean is juicy as hell. This thing has a river of fat that comes off of it. It coats your mouth beautifully. Savory, smoky, juicy, fatty. This has everything you want from a brisket. Wow.
The bark is insane. It's
The
got
bark!
a lot of pepper. You can feel it. It's nice. This is perfect.
This one is almost impossible to beat, everybody. It is so delicious, so smoky. When you cook something on an offset,
Yeah, no.
It is hard to beat.
Superior.
That is amazing, everybody. It is the gold standard. It is as good as it gets, but this one was cooked in a fraction of the time, and I want your honest opinion. But first, let's give this a go, huh?
That looks good.
And inside of that side dish, guess what it has inside?
Brisket.
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 Wagyu
More
brisket.
Yes. Now dunk it inside, Leo. Yes, nice, cheesy, gooey. Oh. You want to do the dunkage or you want to do a spoonish?
Put some spoonage.
A
'cause
spoonish.
Everything
of
fell
the,
apart.
there you go, my friend. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh my God.
This is the perfect contrast for that brisket. This thing is cheesy, gooey, but also sweet because of the marinade or the sauce that you put on this
Sauce.
The sauce is incredible. It has that barbecue feeling, but that sweetness really cuts out that fattiness from the brisket. So as you say, a palate cleanser, this is exactly what we needed.
Yeah, Leo's right. It is pretty sweet, but the thing that's cool is the cheese has some smoky flavor in it.
Yeah. This is what you should be doing with your brisket trimmings. But now, we got a real experiment going on here. You guys ready?
No, I gotta make space. Hold on.
You gotta make space. Choose your weapon, my friend. You're gonna go for the lean and you're gonna go for the...
Damn, bro, my hands are all dirty. I don't want to grab. All right. Do I have to go? I'm feeling a little fatty right now. Let's do this one.
Feeling the fatty.
I'm gonna keep it consistent over
Oh,
here.
you gotta, damn, all right, so I'm the only one that is gonna grab the other one. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh my God.
Oh, that bark is very different.
It's crunchy and tender at the same time.
The inside is nice and juicy. There's a lot of moisture there, but when you get to the bark, it's a little bit drier, so it makes it ultra crispy, way crispier than this bark.
I like it a lot. The flavor is good. The only thing is it's weird because you don't really get any smoke.
No smoke at all. No, absolutely not. So this one was actually deep fried in Wagyu fat.
That's what, oh, and Wagyu fat.
Yes, it is delicious bark, a completely different experience.
Yes.
From A to B. I don't think it's even fair to compare one with the other because they're so different. But if you had to judge, which one do you like better?
I like this one more.
And you?
There's no way that anyone doesn't pick that one.
And this one is obviously better. It's what you would expect when you take a bite of a smoked brisket. This one doesn't have the smokiness. But I'll tell you one thing. If I only have a few hours to cook a brisket and somebody wants something delicious, this is worth doing it.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it works so well. But I will say this, and it's all because of the quality of the meat. But these are the results. This worked extremely well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe. Remember, everything I use is always in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.